Often they say Buddhism is not a religion, it's a philosophy. Have you heard that? Buddhism is a philosophy. But I beg to disagree with both. It's neither a philosophy nor a religion. But let's see what's the difference. A religion and philosophy, there's a book by Bertrand Russell, a philosopher in 1600s. He says the difference between a philosophy and a religion is that a philosophy is a set of answers where no one agrees. There are two answers and everyone is debating which one is the right one. Religions are a set of answers where you can't question. So, philosophies are a set of answers for a question where you don't have one definitive answer. There's two camps, they are debating about it. And religions are usually a single answer where you can't question. So, in that sense, Buddhism doesn't fall into that dogmatic religion. But why did I say that it's not a philosophy? Now, often when people come across things, they go to their friends, and the friends give them some solace. They tell their advice. But I don't know if you have noticed that the answers we give are very philosophical as long as the problem is not mine. Have you noticed that? We can give a very philosophical answer to someone else's problem, but when the problem is mine, I just can't handle it, right? So there was this one gentleman back in Sri Lanka. He was a he was very learned about the Buddhist philosophy called Abhidhamma, like a third basket of Pali Canon. And he one day told that, you really have to go through this very complicated philosophy, and otherwise you will not have any knowledge of what Buddhism is. Then I asked him a question. He was quite old. He came with his son. I asked him a question. Okay, you have all this philosophy. Imagine that you are driving through the mountains and all of a sudden you lose brakes and then you are going down the hill. Your vehicle is going to crash. Would this philosophy help you? Right? He was a little upset. He was like, no, you should learn this Buddhist philosophy. And then after a few months, he passed away. Right? And then his son came to me. The father has told the son at his deathbed, I remember that monk asked me that question, and he's right. Please bring him for my funeral rituals. So that's how I ended up there. Right? So again, all these philosophies are nice, but can we use it in practical life? Right? So if the Buddhism is just a philosophy, it's just an armchair philosophy. You have it to argue about things, but it doesn't really add value to your practical problems. Now, I said any answer can be philosophical as long as the problem is not mine. Right? So it's also very important to understand, who am I? Because everything matters to me when they are my problems. Others' problems, we don't care. Right? So let's see, when we say mine, I am, what does it entail to? Which is me, which is I am, right? Is this temple yours? Sort of, we are the meditation community here. Is Cambridge yours? Yes, we are Waterloo people. We can elect an MPP for this region, for this riding. Ontario? Yes. Canada? Yes. States? Maybe not. Mexico? Maybe not. But can we do a project in Mexico? Yes. Ducks Unlimited made that pond for us, and they have Mexico, States, and Canada. So they are doing projects across the Americas. So when we look at what is mine, it is also associated with how much control I have over that. Would you agree? When I say mine, like Joy and Lisa made these wonderful kneelers, and people went and bought them. They paid and they said, no, I'm going to call it mine. And then Heidi did his own drawing on her kneeler. But she did not do the painting on Helen's kneeler, for example. So when I own, it also means that I can control. So controllability and ownership has a lot in common. Right? But the definition of what is mine is a very changing thing. For example, between Habs and Toronto Maple Leafs, right? Go Habs, right? Your ownership could be different based on whether you are in Montreal or whether you are in Toronto. Oh, it's pretty complicated, right? But if you're a fan of Boston ice hockey, it's usually not cool. But I know one guy who's a Boston fan, right? But if you're a fan of Swedish team, Swedish ice hockey, you are an uncool Canadian, right? But let's say that all of a sudden there's another planet who wants to play ice hockey, right? We will get together, right? Every time we change our me and mine, what I own, according to the situation. There's a thing called NATO, the North Atlantic Coalition, right? There's another word for NATO, no action, talk only. I'm not talking about that. NATO, the North Atlantic. So when they want to fight the Atlantics versus the rest of the world, they get together. But imagine that there's an alien ship from Mars, then the world will get together. And when Andromeda Galaxy has another ship, the Milky Way will get together. So what is me and mine? That boundary, it keeps changing all the time. But what we can notice is that more controllability we have, more we can call it mine, right? So now, if we look at all the people here, these people are individuals, but we have our daughters, brothers and sisters also. We have a little more ownership over them because we can ask them to do things and they might listen. Right?
You haven't met my son, yes?
And if we look at all the buildings, we can't change the Service Ontario building in Cambridge, but we can change something in our community. We can grow flowers, we can do stuff. We can probably do some changes in our home, but I have more control and ownership over my bedroom. Like my room, I can paint it whatever the color I want, right? And forget the outside elements, I can do anything on my body usually. I can cut my hair, I can put a tattoo on it, I can do stuff on my body. So it seems that compared to Mexico, Canada is more under control for us, right? So it's more mine. I can call it more mine, and I own and I control Canada more than Mexico. More than Canada, I can control Ontario. More than Ontario, I can control Cambridge. More than Cambridge, I can control my bedroom. I can control my body, probably more than all that. I could probably control my mind more than my body. Sometimes my body doesn't want to do what my mind says. For example, take a big breath, hold your breath for 10 minutes. You can't. The mind would say, I have to do that, but body can't. But mind is probably more in control. But would you say that mind is also completely under your control? So now, if controllability is an indication of ownership, what do we own? Seems like we have nothing completely 100% under control. Hence, we don't completely own a lot of things also. And then, look at all the problems you are having. Who's the owner of that? Why are you worried? Right? So let's reflect on that during our meditation, right? Rather than trying to find a solution to our problem, which is my problem, let's try to find out who am I and what do I call me and mine. Because maybe you're worrying for someone else's problem.